Bam! And I'm back, folks. It's the Shell Toucher. Welcome back to the channel. Let's get comfortable. Pour yourself coffee, tea, Aquarius, whatever your poison may be today, and let's relax. Let my tips, tricks, and hacks wash over you. I don't even know what I mean by that. What I mean by that is today we're going to be doing tips, tricks, and hacks, which we typically do, but I'm going to try to make it really quick, simple, and basic. I'm putting together this real... See this? I wrote down 5 or 6 basic tips that are not enough for a full episode, but enough when combined. So we'll do like the top 5 or 6 Camino tips that I think people just aren't talking about or maybe never have talked about. I'm going to talk about them because that's just how I roll. And you're here, and that makes me happy, and let's just... Trade it!
Did somebody say Santiago? Tips! Boom!
Welcome back. Now, where was I? Oh yes, tips. Really, just a list of tips off the top of my head, stuff that people don't typically talk about. Let's talk about them.
Tip 1.
WhatsApp. On your Camino, if you don't know by now, you'll be using WhatsApp a lot to communicating with all your new friends, all your people in your Camino family. All the people around the world, aside from North Americans, seem to be using WhatsApp. It's a popular app. It's free to use. You can make long distance calls without being charged. You can communicate with pretty much the rest of the world. And that's what people use on the Camino to stay in touch. If you don't already have this app on your phone, put it on your phone now. I mean, you could do it while you're there, but I recommend just putting it on your phone now and maybe familiarizing yourself with it. I mean, you can take the time to do that, or you'll just learn probably like me better on hands-on situation, on the spot, on the scene. However you work best. Just know that WhatsApp is going to be used. Now, this is a super basic tip. I mean, that is the tip, is put WhatsApp on your phone. You may or may not have already known that part. However, when you're sharing your information with someone on the trail, rather than giving them your number or whatnot, there's a QR code feature in WhatsApp. A lot of people don't know about this. Maybe more people are becoming hip to it. Like an 80-year-old man showed me it, and I was blown away. And it made my life easier ever since. So when you're on the Camino, rather than giving your information the old-fashioned way, just show them your QR code. They can scan that, and boom, they have your information instantly. And a lot of times, like, you know, it's like you'll bump into someone that you may see every day for the rest of your time on the trip, or you might bump into someone you're never going to see again. So you never know when that moment is happening. If it is going to be a future friend or whatnot, they have your information like that. If it's not, they have your information too. Whatever, you just made it easier for everyone involved. Tip 2. This. What is this? A bottle? No, this is an ice roller, folks. This is for the people that get up early and start their hike around 5:30 in the morning and arrive by noon or 1 or somewhere early afternoon. And it also depends on whether the albergue has a freezer or not, or wherever you're staying. If it does, put a bottle of water 3/4 away full with no lid on it in the freezer standing up. And then by evening, this will be ready. This feels great. Not only on your feet as a roller, but also on your back, on your muscles, whatever. Nothing beats the ice roller. You can also pick up one of these. If you didn't bring a small piece of yoga mat with you.
Why would you do that?
Well, you do that for a spiky ball to keep it in place so it doesn't roll around. Also note, you don't have to bring this with you. There are places called China bazaars in Spain, or China stores, where they sell all types of tchotchke. Pretty much everything you could possibly need is there. They also sell yoga mat, the material, by the foot or the meter, wherever they're using to measure this with. So you can buy as much or as little as you need at the China store. So you can pretty much build this whole kit in Spain, and it's nothing. It weighs nothing. This bottle, you're probably already using the drink out of. Also, this tip works if you're staying, doing a rest day and you have the day off the next day and a freezer. You can get up early and use it, but super, super hack ice roller. Ice roller. Thank me later. The next tip is something no one's ever going to talk about except me, because I'm crazy when it comes to hydration systems. This is the hydration tube I brought with me on my last Camino, last summer. It's by Source. I love everything about this system. However, what I don't love is these caps. These caps, I don't know. Sometimes they just get the plastic. I don't know what it is that does this to them, but watch. So hiking all day, the vibration of every step you take can pop that off And now it's ineffective as a cover. You need to have this thing covered. Some people cut these things off. They try to save weight where they can. This is totally worth keeping because it's going to keep you from getting sick. You're putting your bag down all day long in different places where people spat, they sat, or they I don't know. But I mean, like, dogs. We're talking about dogs. Huh? But this is going to touch the ground a lot. So you want this covered. Yeah. So get used to putting the cover on. Even if you're at home using this during your training hikes, always put the cap back on when you're done using it. Anyways, but how useful is it if it's going to fall off? And that's what happened in my last Camino. And this might not happen to everybody, but it did happen to me. And the only thing I could do was fantasize.
Fantasize.
That's right, folks. Fantasize about
elastic string.
Yeah.
So rather than even wait for this to happen, what you should do, I don't want to tell you how to live your life,
But you should totally do this.
cut the string off and then restring it with
Elastic string.
and make it the tension just enough so it's constantly pulling on the cap, the elastic part, gently, but pulling on the left so that tension is always there, keeping the cap on. So if it does get loose like that, at least the elastic is holding it in place. If you don't follow my advice and this does happen to you, what I was doing in the moment was I was just wrapping this around like once or twice,
Like this.
or pulling the end of a string tight like this to keep that somewhat in place as I was hiking. But yeah, it became annoying, and it really, yeah, more than once, the cap was off and this was touching the ground when I put my bag down. It's like, that's how you get sick, or whatever. You just, cooties. That's how you get cooties. You don't want cooties.
I've had cooties.
Next tip, literally, is about the tip. This tip is especially for those doing the Portuguese, because that's the only place I can really think of where you're going to be walking on a boardwalk for the majority of the day, for the majority of the Camino. Granted, there are places on the Frances and other Caminos, the Norte, and even the Primitivo, where you'll be walking over a bridge, and there's like a boardwalk, sidewalk situation that has a similar setup where it's, it's like a dock. There's cracks in between each board. You'll be using, especially if you are used to using trekking poles, you'll be using these on the boardwalks all day. However, you need to use rubber tips.
To absorb the shock and protect the wood.
Even though they're going to be difficult to work with, the tips every now and then will get stuck in the crack of the boardwalk and you'll lose your tips. I've lost them a few times on the Portuguese. I had to hop over the railing onto the sand, crawl onto the boardwalk, and find my rubber tips because I was testing them to see if they worked or not. It's a long story, but I was testing them, so I needed the tips. I had extra ones with me, but I wanted to keep using the ones I was using to see how well they fared. It's a long story. I'll talk about that in the future. But it'll happen. It'll steal your tips, especially older boardwalks. Keep your eyes on the boardwalks. There's some new, there's some older ones, but they're constantly repairing these things. And the reason why is the older ones, the cracks in between the boards get wider. So they'll really grab your sticks if you're not paying attention. So when you see it switch to old planks, and you will, just be aware that where you're putting your sticks, where you're putting your tips of your sticks. Otherwise, you're going to lose your tips. So sometimes on those older boards, it might be good to just take the rubber tips off of your sticks. So think about that. Or what I did is, my sticks I keep tape on. You all know this by now. And what I do is I take a piece of the tape and actually tape the tips to my trekking poles. If I know I'm going to be on the boardwalk all day, this is perfect. It'll keep your tips on. So this is a duct tape too, so it's nice and strong. But yeah, tape your tips on if you're on the boardwalk and you're less likely to lose them. If you do lose them though, you know that you can hop the railing and sometimes find them. There are places on the beach sometimes where you can't get onto the boardwalk. It's just difficult. Or the sand goes right up to, it's difficult. So tape your tips on when you're on the boardwalk, on the Portuguese, or whenever you think you need to tape your tips on. Don't be afraid.
Tape your tips on.
And my last tip, this is number 5. Did I do 5? I don't even know what I did. Maybe I did 5. Whatever this number says. Have I been using numbers?
Si.
I don't know. I'm a bloody mess. But folks, tip 5 is about using, what is it about using? Sheep's wool. Wool. We use sheep's wool in our socks. We use it, in our socks to wrap around our toes, to prevent rubbing between the toes. We use it underneath the foot to prevent any hot spots, kind of like a Band-Aid. If you've watched my channels, you know all about sheep's wool or lamb's wool. I think it's wonderful stuff. But know that it has more uses beyond that. It's true. You can also break up the wool and sprinkle it in your socks like powder.
Why would you do this?
Because the natural lanolin inside the wool will treat your feet all day long. Yeah. It aids in preventing the hot spots. If you're like me and use powder rather than Vaseline or any other lubricating foot jelly, this is like the best of both worlds. It's dry,
Yet it's not.
the natural linen is just nothing there to work into your feet. You can also use it if your bag's rubbing, or maybe your waistband's rubbing, your belt's too tight, something's, wherever the rubbing is going, just put a little bit of the wool in between whatever's agitating you and your skin. You don't need to tape it on at all. It'll stick there. It really will. And again, the natural lanolin is your friend in this case. It provides just enough slick to prevent any more of that hot spot or that agitation from transpiring. Does that make sense? I think that makes sense. But yeah, you can use it anywhere. Get creative with it. I have some friends, I'm not going to mention any names, but trust me, you know, who's told me a colorful story about it that I'm not going to go into now. But just know that you can use wool like that, especially if you have sheep's wool on you and you're not using it. Use it. Just break it up and sprinkle it into your sock and see how your feet feel at the end of the day. And then thank me. Note this, and this should be mentioned in every wool video when anyone is talking about sheep's wool in socks. Certain socks, especially, actually, I'd say mostly all socks, when you use the wool on the bottom of your foot as padding, that is almost like a felting effect all day long, that it pounds the wool into your sock, where it like will bind with the knitting. So be careful at the end of the day when you're pulling the wool out of your sock, because you can actually pull the stitching out of your sock as well. It's like it binds with it. So be very gentle when you're removing it from your sock, just to save your socks. You need them for at least 30 days, right? So take care of your socks, but also take care of your feet. Take care of them both. Just be very cognizant when removing the wool that's pressed into your sock to keep your socks alive. And that's it, folks. Those are my 5, possibly 6 Camino tips that are pretty much unrelated to anything, but related to everything when it comes to Camino. If you liked today's video, please like, comment, and most importantly, subscribe. I need to bring up my numbers. It's pathetic. It's pathetic. What am I doing here? Put all this time in and got like 7 viewers, religious viewers. They're not religious. They religiously watch is what I'm saying. Actually, they might be religious. Who's to say? This is the Camino de Santiago, right? Right? Right?
Buen Camino.
Oh, shall touch her, walk beside me. Oh, shall touch her, down the old stone way, side by side.